and advocates for unity. Now, let's take a look at the history of Bessemer itself and see how this resurgence, which you have already begun, parallels in so many ways to his past. According to historical sites, Bessemer was originally surveyed in 1887, incorporated 1889. However, prior to that, there was a young man, 30 years old. His name was Henry Fairchild DeBar-Eden. Or DeBar-Laban. I like that, DeBar-Laban. Well, DeBar-Laban was 30 years old. And he moved a few years previously to Birmingham. And in 1886, he started looking around. Now, you got to understand that I can only imagine in the 1880s, 13 miles southwest of Bessemer, Alabama, looked like the woods. Okay? He's out here looking at the woods, 30 years old, from Birmingham. In Birmingham, he was a general manager in Birmingham of a company called Red Mountain Iron and Coal Company. And that later was renamed as a Eureka Mining Company. But he started looking in the woods. So then this young man in 1886 proposed to purchase 4,040 acres of land in the woods where nobody had been. Now, he did this for a price of $100,000. Now, from what we just heard, this man was either crazy or he saw an opportunity. He saw an opportunity to get some land, a lot of land. And I'm sure to some it looked like who knows what in the middle of nowhere. However, that didn't stop him. He pulled together enough resources. Now, resources, typically, we automatically think money. In this case, sure, $100,000 back then, that's a lot of money. Those are resources. You know what else are resources? What can somebody else tell me, what are resources? What's an example of a resource?
Labor.
Labor, indeed. People. Indeed. Effort. It takes people. But he pulled together enough resources in order to implement the first step of his plan of action. DeBar-Laban's plan was to build 8 furnaces and to add 2 additional railroad outlets to the city within 2 years. In 1880-something, I know cities where they can't get their stuff together to lay some transportation to areas which are needed in 20 years. But he was committed. He believed that the future of this city and the surrounding areas depended on the success of iron and steel. The original name, I was very tickled to learn this, the original name of this town was Brooklyn. But instead, he named the town Bessemer. And let me tell you the first thing he did. Now, remember I said it was surveyed in 1887? Yeah. What year did he purchase it? 1886. Well, guess what? In 1887, he also formed the Bessemer Land and Improvement Company. Who you think surveyed that land? So the company surveyed the land and plotted the streets, the parks, and lots around the area. The company sold its first lot area in for $10 to $25 per acre. But by the spring of 1887, land was selling for as much as $18,000 an acre. Wait a minute. The population started to boom. More than 4,000 people in Bessemer. That started as the woods that the 30-year-old man went trotting through and peeping through because of his vision. By 1890, the city reached 4th in population in the entire state of Alabama. And remained that way for several years afterwards. So that is why Bessemer's creed is the Marvel City. People marveled. How did this happen? And the citizens of Bessemer voted to incorporate the city in September 9th of 1887. Now, isn't this interesting? They incorporated the city in 1887 at the end of the year. He proposed to buy it in 86. And then he formed the Bessemer Land and Improvement Company in 1887. He wasn't crazy. This process of Henry, first of all, one, he thought creatively, or as we say today, out of the box. It takes a certain type of courage, the type of courage that these council members present today have taken to not only put a resolution on the table, but to do everything necessary to have it approved so that this city progresses in the right direction, positive direction. But he thought outside the box. And when you think outside the box, progress that no one else seems to see as possible. Some people may say, well, Bessemer was like that then. But I don't know about now. Yeah, they got some good leadership, and they got some very distinguished veterans on the city council who support the right things, and they've got some new. And when you think outside the box, the first thing that happens is people start looking at you to the side. You know, I don't know if I want to be a part of this. I just don't know. I don't know how it's going to turn out. What if it's a failure? Then I said that I supported it, then I'm a failure. Do you know that Thomas Edison, I couldn't believe this, Thomas Edison had a log that stacked up this high, leather-bound books, and he was experimenting with his different electrical. He tried to make something as simple as, it may have been the light bulb. He tried to perfect it. The man tried over 100,000 times before he got it right.
Don't give up.
No, you don't give up. You don't give up. When you're talking about social change, when you're talking about economic development, when you're talking about moving forward in a progressive direction, there's no such thing as failure. The only way that we fail is that if people sit down instead of stand up. And one thing history has taught me is that the folks in this state of Alabama will stand up tall and together. White, black, brown, yellow, to make things happen. The movement is not dead.
No.
There's a new movement. The new movement for Bessemer, Alabama is unity. I'm sure so many people laughed at that man, Henry, going out there. That boy went out there and bought all those woods. You know, he's crazy. He's not from here. But see, then after he achieved that first goal, see, that courage that I'm talking about, that special posture in the I don't know what it is about the people in Alabama. You some people from Alabama. We talked about Bloody Sunday. Got to get people flew from all over the world, but it was mostly people from Alabama. People who could have lost their jobs, lost their lives, lost their loved ones, took their 2 feet and marched from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama, 25,000 strong. I ask you, Bessemer, has that spirit died?
No.
Yeah.
Is it gone? Do we have any real foot soldiers in this house? I just need to know.